Welcome, little ones, to a story not of external discovery, but of an internal awakening. This is a quiet tale about the moment a hidden part of the soul stirs, stretches, and recognizes itself for the very first time. Before we begin, a special acknowledgement to ABDLcomforts.com, a dedicated space for those who understand that the journey to self-acceptance often begins with a single, secret moment of courage. Now, let's travel back. The summer I was 14, time moved differently at my grandparents' house. It was a place of dust motes dancing in sunbeams, the sweet, stale scent of old books, and a profound, respectful quiet that seemed to absorb sound. I was tasked with a simple, dusty job, clearing out the guest room cupboard after my 6-year-old cousin's visit. It was a chore, a boring slice of a slow afternoon. Then my fingers brushed against something in the back of a drawer. Not a toy, not a book. It was a package, partially opened. I pulled it forward into the light. A half-empty pack of toddler diapers. They were pristine, white, folded into neat, padded rectangles. The world didn't just pause, it hushed. The ticking clock in the hallway faded. My own breathing stopped. This wasn't curiosity, this was recognition. A part of me I had no name for, a feeling I carried like a secret locket with no picture inside, suddenly had an image. For years, a quiet, persistent fascination had lived in my periphery. The baby aisle at the supermarket wasn't just a section of the store, it was a magnetic field. The sound of a diaper tape in a TV commercial wasn't just a sound, it was a trigger for a deep, confusing longing. I'd feel a pang of something, not envy of a baby, but a yearning for the state it represented. Absolute safety, permitted helplessness, the soft, crinkling armor against the world's expectations. I buried these feelings under layers of teenage normalcy, ashamed of their persistence. But here, in this silent, sunlit room, the object of that vague yearning was tangible. My heart wasn't just beating, it was drumming a code against my ribs. This is it. This is the thing. I listened. The house sighed its old house sighs, distant murmur of the television downstairs. I was alone with the secret. My hands, which felt suddenly too big and too clumsy, reached into the drawer. The crinkle as I slid one out was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. It was softer than I imagined, yet had a substantive weight. It felt important. With a trembling urgency, I folded it, slipped it under my oversized t-shirt, and pressed it against my stomach. I was a thief, but I wasn't stealing a thing. I was reclaiming a feeling I'd never legally possessed. The journey to the bathroom was an eternity. Every floorboard creak was an accusation. In the mirror, my face was a mask of flushed guilt and electric excitement. I locked the door, and the click was the sound of the world being shut out. Sitting on the edge of the bath, I unfolded my secret on the fuzzy blue mat. I traced the patterns of the padding, the smooth landing zone, the crisp, unfastened tabs. It was an artifact of care, and I was about to perform an archaeology of my own soul. Stripping off my shorts, the air felt cool on my skin. The moment of hesitation was brief, overpowered by a pull so strong it felt gravitational. Lying down, sliding the diaper beneath me, the first touch of the cool, quilted padding to my skin was a revelation. It was an anchor. As I pulled the front up between my legs and fumbled with the tapes, a profound calm began to seep into my bones. It didn't fit right. It was too small, too tight in places, but that didn't matter. The containment was what I craved. I sat up and looked in the mirror. The girl who stared back wasn't a ridiculous teenager playing dress-up. Her shoulders, usually hunched with the perpetual anxiety of not being enough, cool enough, pretty enough, normal enough, had dropped. Her face was soft. In that reflection, I didn't see a child. I saw myself, stripped of performance. I saw the part of me that was tired, that wanted permission to be vulnerable, to be taken care of, to simply be without critique. Curled on the bath mat, knees to my chest, I listened. The crinkle with each small shift was a private lullaby. The gentle pressure around my hips was a hug I'd been giving myself for years, finally made physical. And then the ultimate act of trust. I let go. Not a dramatic release, but a slow, warm surrender. A trickle, then a quiet flood, the padding drinking it in, warming, swelling, holding it all without judgment. There was no disgust, no shame, only a breathtaking, total relief. It was the permission I never knew I needed, permission to not be in control, to have a need met in the most basic physical way. My heartbeat, which had been a frantic bird against my ribs, settled into a slow, deep rhythm. For the first time I can remember, my mind was silent, not empty, but peaceful. The return was a gentle, melancholic ritual. Peeling away the wet, warm padding felt like shedding a second skin. I wrapped it, buried it deep in the trash. A sacred artifact returned to the earth. Cleaning up, getting dressed, I was reassembling the me the world expected to see. When I unlocked the door and stepped back into the hallway, nothing had changed. The clock ticked. The sunbeam had moved an inch on the carpet, but I was different. I carried a new, quiet knowledge in my center, a warm ember in the cold fireplace of adolescence. I didn't have the words, ABDL, little space, regression, those would come much later. All I knew was that I had found a hidden room inside myself, and the key was soft, white, and crinkled. This is a story for anyone who remembers their first moment of true self-recognition, that instant when a secret, shameful curiosity transforms into a quiet, undeniable truth. It's about the beginning of a lifelong conversation with the most vulnerable, authentic part of who you are. If this story of private awakening and the first tender steps towards self-understanding resonates with you, know that your journey is honored. For those seeking to nurture that inner self with products that respect its dignity and need for comfort, explore the supportive collection at abdlcomforts.com. Thank you for listening to this memory of a quiet beginning.